Andy Austin here. I'm up in the attic. It's absolutely roasting today. And Stumpy, our resident seagull, has had hatchlings, so what they call chicks, have hatched. So lots of rooftop activity happening just here. In fact, that's where the nest is, right, literally right here. I've got a new camera and microphone set up, so I'm hoping we can go high definition and get those YouTube stats up. Do please click the like button. It's always appreciated. For a little ramble on sensory acuity, I put out a thing on the community page on my YouTube channel asking people for suggestions as to what should I talk about, and somebody said sensory acuity and somebody said SMEACs, which means submodality eye accessing cues. I know they're just trying to stir up trouble. So I thought I would do a thing on sensory acuity and submodality eye accessing cues. Now, for some of you, you may well be familiar with the previous video I did. It didn't really go down too well with some people. I removed that a long time ago. And when it was noticed by certain parties that it had been removed, apparently it had been quietly and surreptitiously removed. No, I just deleted it. And I had deleted it a long time before they'd noticed. Now, as you will be aware, there are certain factions within the NLP world who don't like me, and it would be fair to say that my criticisms of them, I think, are perfectly valid. My behaviour online on Facebook has probably been very irritating and somewhat immature, so it doesn't really surprise me that they don't like me so much. However, that said, let's get into it anyway on sensory acuity. When I did my NLP training, and I've got to say most of the content was absolutely top-notch, I can't fault it, learned a lot, very beneficial to me, very beneficial in my own personal life, in my own personal development, and in my professional practice as well. I did it with Bandler and McKenna all those years ago. And I'd had all sorts of other sort of little trainings as well from other trainers and bits and pieces. So overall, I've a very positive experience. But there was a couple of things that did happen during the training that I thought, not so sure about this one. And it was the sensory acuity bits. There's only one, actually, that springs to mind immediately. And that is the exercise where we all sit in pairs back to back. Person A, person B. We can't see each other. We're sitting back to back. And we're not touching either. There's no physical contact being made, although some people were doing that. It depends on who they're with, I guess. And person A feels something. They get the feeling running in their body. And person B sees if they can intuit and feel the kinesthetic. So you'd be like, right, are you feeling something? Yes, I'm feeling something. It's love. You're feeling love. No, it's anger. Whatever. And so it was this kind of attempt at being virtual psychics. Got to say, absolute load of nonsense. Now, one of the problems about what I think of as sensory acuity, or what I see being taught as sensory acuity, it's like my eyes improve, my hearing improves, my senses are improved. Right? It's like my senses are open for the first time, and I'm hearing things I could never hear, blah, 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 seeing things I could never previously see. Everyone I've ever met who does that tends to be mind-blowingly naive, and actually they don't see much of what's going on at all, and it's very easy to get things past their astonishing senses. Here is what I tend to think of in these things, which is if you have language, the more you know about the language, and the more you know about psycholinguistics, neurolinguistics, and the sentence structure, and all of those models of linguistic analysis, the more you know those models, the more you're actually able to hear things. You hear distinctions that previously you weren't aware of the distinctions. So it's not so much like my eyeballs, my hearing is improved, I have some kind of psychic intuition, but the more you know about people, the more categories of understanding, the more models of understanding that we have around individuals and communications, then the more we can experience. See, we don't know what we don't know. For example, in the work I do with metaphors, I teach a lot about idiomatic communication and how when you understand the structure of an idiom and how these idioms actually fit together and the linguistic structuring of idioms, it is amazing what you can hear when people talk. Now, people were talking those things previously to my trainees and they would have heard them. But now they have not so much a sensory acuity, they have an ability to hear and understand things in ways they hadn't previously heard and understood them to be, if that makes sense. So largely, sensory acuity comes down to having the capacity to comprehend what is experienced rather than increasing the loading of what is experienced. As in, like, I have mega vision, I've got X-ray eyes, that kind of nonsense. It's more about what models we place upon the experiences that we get off other people's communication and so forth. And then we have things like submodality eye accessing cues, or SMEACs. Now, in the description below, I'm going to put a link to a demonstration, actually. It's from Eric Robbie, who is credited, or he probably not just credited, he did develop and discover submodality eye accessing cues. Now, I did a bit of a spoof on this a few years back. It's a video that was removed, mostly just to annoy Eric, just for the fun of it. Childish, I know. And essentially, there'll be some very, very obvious things. So if you're familiar with NLP submodalities, if somebody's squinting and looking at something whilst making a mental representation, is that near or far away? If their eyes are wide and they lean back, is it big or small? You get these very obvious cues around certain submodality sets. And there's kinesthetic accessing cues as well, and so there's lots of variables. But have a look at the demonstration that you'll see, because my interpretation on this, and I'm willing to be proved wrong. I would love to see more examples of trainees doing this and other people explaining what they think is going on. And largely what I'm seeing is projection, not perception. That when a person is thinking of the color green, their face turns green. Look, everyone, look! Can you see her face turning green? Yes, I can. No, can't. And when they think red, the face gets a little bit redder. No, it doesn't. Your face doesn't change colour just because of the mental pictures you're making of a colour. However, click the link, have a look. Maybe I have got that completely wrong, and that I need better glasses to see people turning green when they think green. So, do I think these things are credible? I'm not convinced. However, I put out the proviso, and this is largely what's annoyed Eric over the years, because I'm not alone in saying, okay, let's see some more demonstrations of this. We've got these like 2 clips that exist on the internet. If there's full training courses running when there's lots of people doing this kind of stuff, it should be something very easy to demonstrate. I've never seen any other clips from any trainees or other trainers demonstrating submodality eye accessing cues. It would be so easy. It would be so easy to produce a demonstration of this, actually, so we can put it out to scrutiny and have a look. Okay, is this real? Is this really what's happening? These things can be easily, objectively measured rather than convincing everyone in the room. See, can you see the green tint on her cheek? There's got to be better ways these things can be measured and verified and quantified as well. So my point being, I think most of what is taught and spoken of as sensory acuity is utter nonsense. It is imagination and projection and wishful thinking. Most of the time that I experience people and meet people who are big on their sensory acuity, they're not able to demonstrate any such thing, and largely all they ever achieve is projection. I've just got to tell you the one thing that has always stuck in my mind about this. It was a trainee of SMEACs. I won't name this individual, but is a master trainer of NLP, based in the UK. That's all the data I will give you, all the hints I will give you as to who this is. Master trainer who told me to stay away from a particular participant on a training course because this individual had stood near that person whilst they were having a conversation and was able to see the pictures that this individual, who's a paying participant on the training course, was making in their head, and they were of a paedophilic nature. Now, this individual, this trainer, then spread that story around all of the other assistants as well. And that I find extremely disturbing, because if this is a trainer who has authority and commands respect from people, is endorsed by certain NLP groups and so forth, is able to go around and make projections like that, and it is believed, that is a very disturbing thing. Now, that's an extreme end of this, but I think so much of it is just projection. However, if you disagree with me, stick in the comment section what your thoughts are. Do please click the like button, always appreciated. Or if you're one of the Eric team, click the dislike button. Let me know you've watched the video. I'll see you soon.